Buddy, we're here today with former Congressman Joe Walsh. We're here to discuss Donald Trump's first 100 days and his legislative agenda. I wanted to start off, we have the Senate hearing right now for Jeff Sessions, and I mean, this is kind of a lightning rod for a little bit of Trump's policies. He seems, and furthermore, he's probably one of the more conservative appointees to his cabinet. Do you think that he will be appointed? I mean, we're going to see an actual opposition party now these next 8 years, and you're going to see how the liberals do it. They're going to try to bork, Jeff Sessions. Do you think he gets through this nominating process, or do you think how do you think they pick and choose their fights in nominating his cabinet?
Well, great to be with you, my friend. Yeah, they're going to have to pick and choose, but generally all these folks are going to sail through. I mean, remember what the Democrats did when they were in charge a few years ago. They got rid of that 60 vote threshold in the Senate for appointments. So these guys only need the Republican votes. I think, and you and I have talked, there are some good nominees and some bad nominees. I know Sessions and I like Sessions. Sessions believes very much in federalism. He wants to undo a lot of what Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch did going after states. I think there'll be a lot of bluster with Sessions at first because he is, as you said, a lightning rod, but he'll get through.
Okay. You're more optimistic than I am. So I agree with you on the 50 vote threshold. Do you think if it was a 60 vote threshold, he'd get through?
No, probably not.
Oh.
That's an amazing power that Harry Reid took away, that Chuck Schumer is pretty pissed off at Harry Reid for taking away, because the Republicans, they've got their party votes to get most of these nominees through. Now they're going to go after Sessions because you can go after Sessions on race, and race is the issue. So I think Senator Cory Brooke is actually going to testify against Sessions.
He is.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that's ever been done before.
And it's never been done before. So this is really getting strange. I mean, the left is really, they are good at this. I mean, they'll do things that the right couldn't get away with. We have Cory Booker testifying against a cabinet nominee. What? Yeah, but I don't know how they get away with it.
Well, because they're shameless and they're relentless. And Cory Booker's probably running for president. This is his first move in his presidential campaign in 2020. Look, the left was stunned that they lost. They still can't believe Trump won. I mean, seriously, I talked to a lot of well-known liberals in DC. They still can't believe it. And I think what you're going to see him do is campaign every single day for the next 4 years.
Well, that gives them they have something in common with the Russians. I don't think that they thought Donald Trump had a chance to win either.
Nobody
really.
Yeah.
So, in his first 100 days, obviously he has to give us a Supreme Court nominee. And part of the reason he was elected is that conservatives wanted an originalist. We know that Donald Trump is wishy-washy. We know that Donald Trump isn't really, he's not a conservative. He's not an originalist. What are the chances he does give us what we want, an originalist of the Supreme Court? I see him tweeting about Carrier, about Ford. And when Chuck Schumer comes out and says, hey, I'm going to block any of your nominees, I don't see, Schumer, I think he said as much as, I don't agree with any of the people on his list, and we're going to work to block them. I don't see Donald Trump tweeting about that. You know what I mean? This is part of the reason he got elected. So what are our chances of getting an originalist?
I think 100%. And here's why. The beauty about Trump is he doesn't give a damn about the Supreme Court. He doesn't care. And so on things he doesn't care about, he's just going to farm it out. He farmed out this Supreme Court pick to the Heritage Foundation and a bunch of good originalist conservatives. He doesn't care about issues like this. So on the issues, it's the issues he cares about, Will, that scares the that scare the hell out of me.
Me
he doesn't
too.
give a damn about this. Yeah. So you're right. He doesn't care about the Supreme Court, so we'll get what we want.
Okay. Now, in his first 100 days, and he is restrained a little bit, he has some political capital, and mainly it's on immigration. And I think conservatives agree with Donald Trump on immigration. I think that's the one thing that we have in common. Do you think that's the first thing that he works on with the House is passing? I mean, he could just get right into office and start start enforcing the laws in the books already. Okay, but do you think they work on some sort of legislation?
Now, I think legislation is going to be tougher. I think you're right. He'll come in on day one, and you're going to see a flurry of executive orders. My hope is to undo Obama's executive orders. Mm-hmm. I'm not one of these conservatives or Trump supporters who want him to come in and act like a goddamn king,
right,
like Obama acted like a goddamn king. I don't have a problem with him issuing orders to undo Obama's orders. I think he'll undo some of them in immigration. Mm-hmm. But immigration legislation is still going to be damn tough because the Republican Party is exactly where the Democrat Party is on immigration. They want illegals here, and they want as many legal immigrants here as possible. That's a real thorny issue. I think you'll see him move on Obamacare and hopefully tax reform really quickly.
Okay, so wow. So you think that, I mean, yeah, you're right. All he has to do is repeal a lot of essentially the executive orders that Obama put in place, which are literally don't follow the law. Right. I mean, that's pretty much what Obama was saying. Don't follow the law in the books. All you have to do is roll that back and follow the law in the books. And we already have rules and laws for the border. How do you think he protects the border? In the news right now, it's the border wall, and Mexico is going to pay for it. Are we going to get a wall? I mean, I thought Congress appropriated funds in 2006 or 2007 for a fence?
They did.
And I don't know what happened to that.
No, it's
and did that ever get built?
No, that money's sitting there, Will. That money's sitting there. So, yeah, idiotic. Yeah, go like me and go work in Congress for 2 years.
Why isn't anyone talking about it? I don't hear the media. They're talking about who's going to pay for the wall. I haven't heard one person on television or on radio talk about the money we have sitting there for a fence or a wall, whatever you want to call it.
For part of a fence.
Okay. Yeah, 700 miles.
No. Yeah, no. It's there, and a couple hoops need to be jumped to get at it, but it's there. There's a concern here, and I think my concern is probably yours. This notion of Trump for 4 years issuing executive orders, we may reach a point where people like you and I are going to be folks who are more libertarian leaning are going to be up against him if he really expands his power like Obama expanded his power. We're going to have to watch this. I don't want that. None of us should want that. That's not what our founders wanted.
Another thing I have a problem with, during my advocacy, I talk about free markets and capitalism and free trade, and I have a lot of people say, "Oh, well, that's more libertarian." I'm like, well, conservatives, we value the rule of law, we value property rights. That's capitalism. If I want to take my property and I want to invest overseas, that's my property. That's my right to do so. If I want to trade with somebody that happens to be overseas, that's my right to do so. If I want to buy from Walmart and I know they import from China and it's cheaper for me, that's my right to do that. I don't understand where this came from. That capitalism, somewhat of just a libertarian idea. I don't. Where is this coming from all of a sudden?
That's because people are stupid and more uninformed. This country was founded upon libertarian principles. Period.
Right.
Period.
We're classical liberals, right?
Thank you. Exactly. But you say that, Will, you say that to anybody right now. Nobody in America knows what a classical liberal is. A classical liberal is a libertarian. But fast forward 234 years, we've screwed up all of these definitions, and we've driven this line between conservative and classical liberal, which is a shame. Capitalism is libertarianism. Same thing.
Mm-hmm. Same. Yeah. I mean, I always say there's two, contemporary ideologies that stem from or have their foundation in classical liberalism, conservatism and libertarianism. Whereas conservatives believe in more of an objective moral rule of moral objectives, as opposed to where libertarians tend to be more capricious with morality. Conservatives.
Here's my big beef, and I ran against this when I was in Congress. Today's modern Republican Party is a conservative party. It's not a libertarian party. You've got 20 or 30 people in the Republican Party who are like me, Rand Paul, Justin Amash in the House, Massey in the House. But generally, today's Republican Party is a conservative party, and the conservative party believes in big government as well. They just believe they're smarter and they can run and
better.
manage big government better.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I would even hesitate to call it a conservative party, but like we talked about, a classical liberal party. I just see it now, and you see this with like the new nationalists and so on, that it's really become a party of the left. And like I've always said, I think it's more reactionary now to this more of a European left party that we have here, from the Fabianism of the early 20th century until now, that we have this redistributive socialist party that's trying at every corner to usurp property rights in this country. And now what we got is just a reactionary European right. And it's not like it hasn't happened in history. It has with the Wilsonian era, the Teddy Roosevelt era, and the New Deal era. We have a lot of New Deal Republicans in the House now. I mean, it's New Deal Republican Party. Am I right?
And that's the Republican Party leadership has been a New Deal leadership for a number of years. There's no difference between John Boehner and Paul Ryan. Here's the interesting thing about Trump's election was a reaction. It was a populist reaction. As you and I've said before, anger won, freedom didn't win. So because anger won, almost void of issues, fascinating to see the issue fights these first 100 days and these first couple of years.
Right. So now, second, let's say he doesn't address tariffs, and what do you think immigration. Do you think he goes for tariffs right after? I mean, he's been talking an awful lot about that. He's been threatening businesses just like Ford. Some of them stood up to him. I think it was GM that stood up to him and said, we have to move. And a lot of this is under the auspices that it's just cheaper labor, whereas Mexico has better free trade deals than we have. This opens them up to a much broader market than we have here in the United States. And if this guy's talking about tariffs, not many countries are going to want to invest here. How are you going to input? Like, people think that just tariffs protect jobs, but they have inputs, steel, other manufactured goods that businesses are consumers too. This is going to raise their costs. It's going to kill jobs at the ports, jobs that rely on imports. What's he? Do you think he gets tariffs? That's really worrying me that he gets tariffs. It's going to kill this economy.
I love the passion, my friend.
Oh, it's pissing me off.
It should piss you off. So here's my hope with Trump. Carrot stick. My hope is he's just using this stick right now to advance the carrot. He's pounding Carrier and he's pounding GM and Ford and some of these companies. And I don't like it, Will. And whenever he does it, I go after him. But my hope is he's just doing it to kind of lay the groundwork for the carrot, which is cut taxes, tax reform, get the hell rid of regulations. All just a lot of bluster to advance that platform.
I really hope you're right.
I know guys who are working with him, and that's kind of their hope as well, but who knows?
Do you think the Republican Party would pass tariffs? And I know Paul Ryan said he wouldn't do it, but I mean, do you think they cave to this Trump pressure? I mean, there is a lot of pressure and a lot of cult of personality behind Donald Trump. And I think that Democrats would hop on board because they don't want to lose that white working class vote in the middle of the country. And I could see this actually happening. So that's what's really worrisome for me.
It's politically, it's a 50-50 deal. You're right. The Republican Party would be torn down the middle. And the Democrats would all support Trump's trade policy and tariffs. But I tend to believe the Republican Party would stop it. I tend to believe that in the grand negotiation between what Trump wants and what the Republican Party wants, this is one where the Republican Party would say, Donald, we can't go there. We'll give you damn near everything else. That's what I'm hearing privately. And that's my hope.
So we have immigration, we have tariffs. Those are two of the, protectionism. Those are two bigger issues. What other legislation do you think the House and Donald Trump work on? We're talking about a repeal of Obamacare here, okay? Where they're already starting off where it's not an actual repeal of Obamacare. They keep the individual mandate. They keep all the components that make it really expensive. Yes, your kids have to stay on till they're all the things that sound good politically, you see? They're already worried about the positioning where the Democrats have already kind of boxed them into. It makes you sick again. You're going to lose your health care, as if we all of a sudden forgot that what Obamacare did and millions of people losing their health care, the ones that they actually wanted. Do you think they have the guts to repeal this? They haven't had the guts to defund it, which they should have done years ago. They don't never have the guts to use the power of the purse. Do you think they do it now? I don't. But maybe you're more optimistic than I am.
No, I on this one I'm gonna kind of be with you. I know these guys, and the politics of Obamacare scare the hell out of them. Repealing Obamacare and doing nothing is ridiculous, and it won't even be a real repeal. This is going to be a game, because Paul Ryan and the rest of them are scared to death of the politics. I wish they'd listen to Rand Paul. Rand Paul and others are trying to drum up support for repeal and replace simultaneously right away. Here's our plan. And you know what? Be damn honest with the American people and say, this thing sucks. It's a monster. We're going to get rid of it on day one. And when we get rid of it on day one, there's going to be pain. People are going to hurt. But you know what, people? We were stupid to support it. Here's what's better. It's going to be difficult to get there, but that's where we're going. The Republican Party is afraid to say what I just said.
You know, and it may call me crazy, but I hate this replace thing. Replace it with the problem's been government for 75 years. It's like, let's just, replace the government with the market system. Let the market, everyone all of a sudden's a planner. Oh, I know health savings accounts work better. This works better. Why don't we let the insurance companies and the people decide? Give the power to us. What happened to the Reagan message that government is the problem? Now it seems that the message of the Trump administration and Republicans is, we get things done. I don't want you to get things done. Don't get anything done. Get things undone. I mean, I don't understand what's going on. It's like it's the default now that it's big government. 20 years ago, Clinton saying the era of big government's over. Now we're back at, the government needs to replace this because, the market's insufficient. It's ticking me off.
But that's where we've been for a while. We have two government parties.
How did Reagan roll it back, though? We had the same thing in the 60s and 70s. Reagan came in like a battering ram and said, government's the problem. We have to roll back. He tried like hell. He did try like hell. Go ahead.
Right. You're right. In modern times, Ronnie's my hero, but what did Ronnie really do? Ronnie was great. Reagan was great at cutting taxes, at letting us keep more of our money. But when it comes to cutting the beast, that is government spending,
couldn't do it.
It wasn't all Reagan's.
But he had Tip O'Neill in there. We have a Republican House. We have a Republican House and Senate. He had to fight with Congress some of the times, even though he had the Senate at one point. But we have an opportunity here. It's like, can we roll this back? The liberals keep drawing lines in the sand, and we keep working within their parameters. Can we roll anything back? They would do it. If this was a liberals' mission, if this was a Democrats' mission to roll back government, somehow they'd get it done. It seems that we can't get anything done.
Well, look what the Democrats did the last time they owned every branch of government, 2008. They gave us Obamacare. They rammed it through without a Republican vote. I believe Republicans are afraid to do that. I believe they're afraid to ram anything through without a Democrat vote. If today's Republican Party consisted of people like Joe Walsh, Rand Paul, Massey, Amash, there'd be no Department of Education tomorrow. There'd be no Department of Energy tomorrow. We don't even talk about these things anymore.
Right.
There'd be no, Social Security would have been privatized last week. We don't talk about things like this anymore because we truly don't have a limited government party.
I think the one thing that Trump did, I think with this political correctness stuff, and the one thing that Trump did do is show that there are people that are angry, and you can say things like, what do we have a Department of Energy for? It creates no energy. What do we have a Department of Agriculture for? They don't grow a single thing. I mean, these things are easy to take down. The only thing is they stop people from growing certain things, encourage people to grow other things. The Department of Energy just discourages energy production. They favor one over another, exogenous of the market structure.
Here's the deal. Everything you just said, I agree with. 90% of the American people don't understand a word you just said. And of the people who understand what you said, most people don't agree with you and I. So that's our fucking problem.
But we need an eloquent leader. We need a leader that can say I think people would agree if they just heard it and said, you know what? I don't think anyone thinks, geez, the Department of Energy, because of them we have energy. No one's out there saying they don't do anything. They don't do anything.
Agreed. So look at Trump as just the first step.
Okay.
toward knocking down the wall. He's got a fucking sledgehammer, and that sledgehammer got him elected. Now, you're right. After the sledgehammer took a whack at the wall, we need the articulate spokespeople for freedom and limited government coming through. This is going to take a while, my friend.
Do you think entitlements ever come on the table? I mean, these things are going to be they're in trouble now. What happens in 8 years? Do you think Donald Trump finally says, I will reform entitlements at some point? I mean, he seems to be, with the Russian intelligence thing, he seemed to backtrack on that and accept whatever intelligence report that they had. It seems like if he sees evidence, he's willing to, because he's not a dyed-in-the-wool ideologue. He's willing to kind of change his perception on things. Do you think he does the same with entitlements or tariffs, specifically entitlements? I mean, I'm not going to get Social Security. What's he going to do for me?
Maybe, because I don't think he, again, going back to what we said a little bit ago, I don't think he cares about entitlements. So I think down the road, that may be something that he can move on. I tend to think, though, Social Security, Medicare, look, until the American people are on their knees and those programs are bankrupt, which they are,
that's sad.
I don't think you're going to see. Yeah, I don't think you're going to see major change on entitlements. And by the way, that's where everything is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where most of the spending is.
Exactly.
You get rid of the Department of Education tomorrow, big deal.
Mm-hmm. So it's like we're not really going to get much rollback in government if you're not going to touch entitlements, specifically spending. It looks like we're going to have another 8 years of just enormous profligate spending and debt.
It's a first step. I think what you're going to get with Trump is tax reform, which means let us keep more of our own money. I think we'll get that as a first step. But when it comes to slowing down the beast that is the federal government, that's down the road, man. That's down the road.
All right. How about infrastructure spending? Infrastructure, which is really stimulus. I mean, that's not going to do anything. There's $1 trillion. It's going to add to the debt. It's a waste of money. I don't understand why his stimulus is better than Barack Obama's. What's going on? What world am I living in here where we're going to have a president that spends $1 trillion and calls it infrastructure? To me, that sounds like cronyism. It's handouts to certain people. That's what it is to me. What's going on? Where are we in the twilight zone, Joe?
Yeah, here's your twilight zone, my friend. You're living in a twilight zone where even the Republican members of the Freedom Caucus, the good guys, they all come from districts that Trump carried by 40 points. So if Donald Trump says, I want a damn infrastructure stimulus bill, it's going to be really tough for even them to stand against it. This is my biggest fear, that this infrastructure crap is the one area where conservatives are really going to sell their soul because they are scared to death of it politically. So
what we get is just more stimulus. Okay, so we got 800 and some odd billion with Barack Obama. We'll get $1 trillion with Donald Trump.
$1 trillion, baby.
Okay, I said this. This is what's like you said. This is what's worrisome. We had Barack Obama the past 8 years, and we had Donald Trump the next 4 years at least. Both of them have the same view on trade, that it's a zero-sum game, and this is supposed to be two different parties, two different sets of ideas. It's the same exact thing. Donald Trump wants to control resources. Barack Obama wanted to control resources. I don't see much of a difference, really, unless you're talking about immigration or you're talking about, I don't really even know what else. It's really not much different. Am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. I was in Congress, and 6 years ago I saw it. The differences are marginal. Everything I'm saying to you, everything I'm articulating to you, I was an outcast in my party. Believe me, Thomas Massey is an outcast in his party. Mm-hmm. Guys like that, Rand Paul in the Senate, he's an outcast. So I really do believe, and look, you're younger than me. I'm an old fart. I really do believe that this is a 20 to 30 year battle to slowly change hearts and minds back toward freedom. And Trump's victory, I guess it was good because everything starts with anger. A lot of good stuff starts with anger. There's a playing field out there now. Trump won. Trump doesn't really give a damn about a lot of things except for Donald Trump. That's all he cares about.
Yep.
We have an opportunity, those of us who think like you and I do, to advance our ideas.
Do you think this honeymoon of his ends? I mean, this is a honeymoon of I don't remember. I remember George W. Bush being elected. I wasn't inculcated into the political scene at the time. I don't know if there was a cult of personality to this degree that George W. Bush could do no wrong. I never saw that, but maybe I don't remember it. We have a guy here that you can't do anything wrong. He subsumed a lot of old Democrats into the party. It's really a center-left party at this point, as far as I'm concerned. And I just want to restore the Constitution. I'm not asking much. The Constitution's the center to me. The rule of law is the center. These are, that's kind of self-evident. I'm just having a hard time. It's almost like you say something about this guy, and now I've been called a socialist. I've been called, libtard, every name that you can imagine because I bring some of these things up. What happened where are the conservatives? They exist. Where did they go? Are they the actual silent minority?
So here's what I think's tough. A guy like me, a former congressman who's a conservative, a libertarian, I'm on the outside now on the radio and speaking around the country. It would have been at one level a hell of a lot easier if Hillary won.
Yeah.
Because we in the opposition, there's the evil leader. Let me tell you something. The true conservatives in Congress right now, they're going through the same thing, Will. They don't know how to react to this. It would have been a lot easier. It was a lot easier for them to go after Obama and then go after Hillary. With this Trump dude, when you're in control, it makes it much more difficult. And you've got a lot of stupid cheerleaders out there, like Sean Hannity on TV, radio.
That is brutal.
I mean,
Eric Bolling. I can't listen to these people. Lou Dobbs. I can't do it anymore. I can't even watch them. I'd rather watch them. I hate to say it. I'd almost rather watch Rachel Maddow, which I'm lying, but I mean that's how bad it is.
Right, but understand in the districts where the good conservatives come from, all of their people listen to Hannity and all of this, and they're being bombarded by this all day. It makes it difficult for a conservative, a true conservative in the House to go against Trump, especially these first 100 or 200 days.
That's why I say if this honeymoon period ends, it will be easier to oppose his legislation. I think if he gets tariffs, you're going to see the economy take a dive. You're going to see the economy take a dive, I think, regardless when they start raising interest rates and so on, and it starts to snap back when prices start to adjust again. Yeah. So I think you're going to see that, and you're going to see a drumbeat media of hate towards Donald Trump for the next 4 years. And I think some of the diehard Trumpers might just back, because you have all this, a lot of it is just liberal vitriol. That's what people are really mad about. And that's why they're so hardened to Donald Trump. I think that's part of it. And I think that starts to fall off, in the next few years. And I think that Donald Trump may have a difficult time in the midterm elections.
Well, historically he should, except he's an odd duck. We've never seen anything like him. Mm-hmm. And imagine, Will, what if he gets tax reform? What if on paper they repeal Obamacare?
I think tax reform doesn't matter if you have the type of tariffs and intimidation you get from the executive branch. I think it's actually worse because you give American firms the opportunity to charge monopoly prices because it's less competitive and they have less pressure to lower their prices. I think we're worse off with tariffs than to whatever degree we have now. It's just it's just another way of controlling resources and giving businesses an edge on the consumer, and also at the same time harming business and consumers. So I don't think that I don't care about his regulations and taxes. They don't do anything for me if you have tariffs as well. That's my viewpoint.
I agree with you. But just speaking politically, ordinarily the president's party gets hammered in that first midterm. Right. But I don't know that his party will get hammered because a lot of these people may oppose Trump. I think a lot of those old rules have been thrown off, and a lot of the Democrats may actually support Trump on infrastructure and tariffs. Yeah, sure.
Schumer loves the infrastructure bill. Yeah, I agree with you now from the political angle that it's good politics. But I'm saying that the weight that's going to be left behind by these policies may start to change people's hearts and minds on Donald Trump. I mean, look, they're worried. I don't care what's happened in history. People are always concerned about their pocketbooks. And I think if their pocketbooks take a hit in these first 4 years and you can attribute it to Donald Trump, he's going to have a hard time. And I could see that happening. Yes, tax is great. lower taxes, decrease the amount of regulations, which are added costs on businesses. But then you're saying, hey, I'm going to add these costs to businesses and consumers. And I just see not much changing.
Look, you're right. And look, don't forget this. He's the least popular guy we've ever elected.
Right.
He enters office with the lowest favorability rating any president's ever had. He won by 80,000 votes in 3 states. The Democrats still have huge built-in advantages. If they had nominated anybody with any ideas, Trump wouldn't have won. Joe Biden would have beaten Trump. I think Bernie Sanders would have beaten Trump. You can bet your bottom dollar they're not going to nominate somebody like Hillary Clinton in 4 years.
And just to be clear, I want Donald Trump to succeed. I want the Republican Party to succeed. I just don't think that they can succeed with these policies. I just don't think, and I think that.
No, stop. Correct what you just said. You're wrong. If I were there, I'd slap you. You don't want Trump to succeed. You want freedom and limited government to succeed.
Right. But that's why I say. That's why I go after him like this, is for that reason, is to hold his feet to the fire. That's why I do it. Because the only way he will succeed is through liberty and freedom and through constitutional governance and through capitalism.
Unlike Sean Hannity, you give a damn about freedom and limited government. You care about the idea.
That's what works. It's not my ideology. It works. It's science. Economics is this is what works. This is what's worked in the past. The United States isn't the most powerful country in the world militarily and economically because of tariffs. Okay? That's not mine.
Say that again. Don't you ever say that again, or I'll never come on your show again. You never want any president to succeed. You want these ideas to succeed.
I want the Constitution to be restored because I know the Constitution's a success. And I don't care about men. I care about the principles. And you're absolutely right. One question. Are you going to CPAC this year?
Possibly. I don't know yet.
Okay. Well, if you go there, I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there for sure.
All right. If I'm there, you and I'll sit down.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you coming on again. I'd love to have you on another time. It's always a pleasure talking to people that are concerned with the truth, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You got Will. Anytime, man. Thanks, brother.
Bye.